So right now, they got all the pictures up here already, so, yep. Oh yeah, it doesn't show it. Thank you. All right. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our services this evening. We're going to begin the way the evening is going to go tonight is we're going to do the afternoon service, the Mariv service up until the Olenu, and then Rabbi Perlman from home is going to take control and begin the Megillah reading part of the service. And we're going to have some interactive part with participants here in the building also involved with it. So I'm going to give a couple of minutes just so everyone can come in and take their seats, those that want to pray with us. And then we're going to begin on page 120 with Yashrei. On the table, I just figured it should be up here. I didn't know. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, come on in. Don't be shy. Grab a seat. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in. Come in, sit down. We want to begin the service, please. Thank you. Page 120, we're going to begin with the Ashrei. Ashrei Yoshvei V'techa, Od Yehalelucha Selah, Ashrei Am Shekachalo, Ashrei Am Sharanei Lahav. Tilatanu Yidabepi, Vivareka Basoshim Kacholi Lamvoed, Panachnu Nevorechya, Me'atav Yad Olam, Hallelujah. And those in mourning observing Yortzeit at this time, please rise for the Mourners Kaddish, page 136. Yithgadal, Yizgadash, Shemerabah, Yalmad, Divra, Kirusei, Vyamlik Malkusei, Chayechon, Vyamechon, Chayeda, Kol Beit Yisrael, Bagalav, Vizman, Kariv, Vyamru Amen. Yehei Shmei, Rabam Varach, Leolam, Omei Maya, Yisbarach, Vishtabach, Vizbar, Vizsoman, Viznasei, V'yisadar, v'yisaleh, v'yisalal, shmei d'kudsha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birkasa v'shirasa, tushbekasa v'nechemasa, damiran bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mamav, huyasei shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. We all rise for the beginning of the Mariv service. Page 137. The Hurachum Yachapervam Lo Yashchis, Vebola Shiva Bobliya Kolchamaso, Adonai Yoshia Melch Yanenu, Veyom Karenu. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Voed. May be seated. We continue in the middle of page 137. El Chai v'kayam min yom lochal leino le'olam voed. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Ve'avatz kol tosim mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue with the Shema Yisrael, page 138, the very top of the page. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'yohavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha, v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol miyotecha, ve'ayu Hadorim ha'ele, Asher Anochi metzavcha, Hayom al levavecha, Veshinantam levanecha, Vedibatavam, Veshivtecha v'vesecha, Uvelechtecha b'derech, Uveshachpecha uvkumecha, Ukshartom liot al yodecha, Ve'ayulato dafot bein einecha, Uktavtam al mizazos pesecha uvishorecha. We tune silently to the bottom of page 138. Together we recite the third paragraph of the Shema, which is on page 139 at the top of the page. Vayom Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael v'yamata lehem, v'yasu lahem tzitzis, al kanvei fidehem l'toratzam, V'nasnu al tzitzis hakanaf b'sil techeles, v'ayah lochem l'tzitzis, urisem oso, uzgartem es kol mitzvot Adonai, v'asisem osam, v'lo sasuru, acharei levavchem, v'acharei nechem, asher tem zonim achareihem, Leman tizgeru, v'yatzitzem et kol mitzvotai, v'yisem kedoshim le'elohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher otzeisi etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. We continue now on page 139, the third shaded square up from the bottom of the page. U'malchut sobatzon kibla lehem Moshe v'nei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru kulam mi kamocha bo'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedor b'kodesh norat elot osef elem malchus gomeneka בוקר ים לפני משה, זה ליענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, כי אדוני עץ יעקב, כי לא מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גואל ישראל. We all turn to page 140. We read together in English the top paragraph on the page. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. God, our coming and our going, grant us life and peace now and always. Praise that you, Adonai, eternal guardian of your people Israel. Ushmot tzeitzei nevoreinu l'chaim u'l'shalom, me'ata v'yad olam, baruch atah Adonai, shomer amo Yisrael lo'ad. Bochnein l'mamei bochnein v'leluya, bochnein l'rov, v'jin olam yikol ha'aretz, maybe amen. He kavod and his mouth of him and over the lamb, you better than that. بينما هو يعني خر إشماء خر هي خاصة من شيء كان الله أيه كذا يوم شيء سيزا يواجه كذا كي رأى تبصرة سنتلا سنتلا. Continuing on to page 141, down to the shaded square by the middle of the page. But כי המלכות שלך היא המתים לך בכבוד, כי אין לנו מלך אלא אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, המלך בכבודו תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד, ועל כל מעשיו. Please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish in the middle of page 141. Yiskada v'yiskada shemei rabba, yamadei rakurusei v'yamlik malchusei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei d'kol beit Yisrael, b'gala, b'gala, uv'izman koriv, v'yimeru, amen, yehi shmei rabba mevorach, le'olam alom me'omaya, yisparach, Yisparach, v'yishtabach, v'yisparach, v'yisomam, v'yisnasei, v'yisadar, v'yisaleh, v'yisalal, shmei d'kodesha, v'yechol le'ela, min kol bechasa, v'shirasa, tush bechasa, v'nechemasa, da'amiran v'yolma, v'yimeru, amen. We now continue our service with the Amidah, the silent devotion, beginning on pages 142A or B, all the way through to page 148. Don't forget to add Al Hanisim for Purim, which is at the bottom of page 146. And once you are completed on page 148, you may be seated. We all turn to page 148. We'll read together the top paragraph down to where it says, "My rock and my redeemer." Then we'll sing, "Oh, say shalom" together. My God, keep my tongue from evil, my lips from lies. Help me ignore those who would slander me. Let me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah that I may pursue your mitzvot. Frustrate the designs of those who plot evil against me. Make nothing of their schemes. Act for the sake of your compassion, your power, your holiness, and your Torah. Answer my prayer for the deliverance of your people. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom b'mamav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Imeru, amen. May the one who brings peace to his universe bring peace to us and to all the people of Israel. Let us say amen. We continue now with Kaddish Shalem, page 149. Yizkadav Yizkadav Shmerba, Yamadirah Kirusei V'amlik Malchusei, Chayechonav Yemechonav V'chaydago Beis Yisrael, Bagalav Yizman Kariv V'imru Amen, Yehei Shmei Rabim Varach, Le'olam Omei Omaya, Yizbarach V'ishtabach V'izbarach V'izman V'yiznasei, V'yisatov V'yizalev V'yizalav Shmei Dekuchap V'yichu, Le'elam Min Kol B'chasav V'shivasa, Tush B'chasav Negamasa, Damiram V'yamav V'imru Amen, Tiskabel Soisan V'son Echol Yisrael, Kalam Avon Devishmaya V'imru Amen, Yehei Shlom Rami Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. O say Shalom B'mamav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. We all rise for Oleinu. We do not all rise for Oleinu. We stay seated at this time, and Rabbi Perlman will now take over as we begin the reading of the Megillah. So, Loretta, I think you should, you or your designee should pass around the groggers.
Yeah, pass around the groggers, and you should have your sheets. I believe you have the Megillah sheets that are out. Everybody has that.
On the back speakers, but not on the front speakers.
I'm coming on the front, on the back speakers?
Yeah, you're in the speakers like by the stage.
Yeah. If you go in the back by the computer, there's some switches there that might say front hall.
Sit tight. I promise I'm coming back.
Oh, technical world that we live in. In the back room. That should make it, right? I got a little bit better in there now. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Okay, let's get started. Okay, great. All right, folks, take your sheets with the Megillah in it, and you've got the groggers that are going out. I've got my grogger. I got my grogger here. This is my big grogger, and I also have.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the Rabbi Perlman is going to take over the leading of the Megillah reading, but there will be some interactive participation. So Rabbi, it's all yours.
All right, you can see my Megillah? All right, good. Now you can't. All right. So you can hear me okay?
No.
You can't. Well, turn that up a little bit and see what happens. For those of you that are on Zoom and YouTube, you'll be able to see the Megillah. I'll be showing it on the screen. And for those of you in the sanctuary, you should have copies of the Megillah with you. All right. And remember, the first chapter, we don't mention that guy's name, but you know who that guy's name is? Yeah, Haman. Right. And so I think what's going to happen is Sid's going to hit the camera button for the sanctuary to number 5 so we can see everybody in the sanctuary. So if you could just flip the camera over to number 5, I think it is, we'll be able to see everybody in the sanctuary. And Sid, you're going to have to be the stop man. So when it's time for them to stop making noise, you'll have to put your hand up, okay?
Yes.
All right, that's not working. Stand in the middle and push the button, number 5. Point it right at the camera.
I've had a few drinks also. So.
I know. Oh, speaking of which, it's Purim, right?
So this is the remote. This is the remote.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. It's Purim, right?
Seriously? Thanks for your help. Thanks for your help.
All right, before we start with the Megillah, it is a custom and a tradition, and it's also a mitzvah to have a little shot. So for those of you that are having wine, you can join me. For those of you that aren't, too bad. Baruch Adonai Olam Shakol Niyeh Bevaro L'chaim Tovim U'Shalom L'chaim Tovim L'chaim L'chaim Tovim U'Shalom. Oh, Alan's there. All right, here we go. We're going to start the Megillah. This one. Let's start this right here. We start off with the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avoteinu b'yamim hahem Bazman hazeh. And everybody knows this one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu bazman hazeh. Oh, you guys did that so well. I'm just amazing. Here we go. We'll start off for the beginning. We'll start off in the Hebrew, and then we'll take it over later to some English. Vayehi b'mei ha'Achashverosh, ha'Achashverosh, HaMelech modu v'yakosh, sheba b'yasrim u'm'yamedina, b'yamim hahem k'shebet HaMelech Achashverosh, al kisei malchuto asher b'Shushan ha'bira, b'shanat shalosh lemalacho, aseh mishteh l'chol sarav, v'yavadav chel paras u'madai haprat mimamnim, b'sarei hamedinat lefanav, beharotot, asher kavod malchuto v'yet yikar teferet gedulato, yamim rabim shmonim umat yom, ubilmalot hayamim ha'ele aseh hamelech l'chol ha'am hamnimsaim b'Shushan ha'bira l'migdol v'yakatan l'mishteh shevat yamim b'chatzar ginat bayaten hamelech ur karapas ותכלת אחוז בחבלי בוז, יגמן נגללי כסף ביד מני שש, מטות זהב בכסף על רצפה בהר בשש, ודר בסוחרת באשדוד בכלי זהב וכלים נחלים נשונים, ויין מלכות ברב כיד המלך ושתיה כדת אין אונס, כי כן יסוד המלך על כל רב ביתו לעשו כרצון איש ואיש גם. ושתי המלאכה ועשיתה משתי נשים בית המלכות אשר למלך אחשוורוש ביום השביעי כטוב לב המלך ביין אמר למהומן מסתהרו בונה בכתב אבות הזיתר בכרכס שבעת הסריסים המשרתים את פני המלך Achashverosh. And now we're going to turn it over to the sanctuary, and someone there is going to volunteer, right?
Yes. Where do we want to pick up in English?
We're going to pick up English, verse 11.
So, who's a verse volunteer to, hello? Yeah. Verse volunteer to read 11. We have all the way from Peabody, Massachusetts, right here. Tracy.
All the way through the yellow?
All the way through the yellow.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal. That was funny.
Wait.
Yep, wait, that was the signal.
That's a
Take
signal.
shot.
Hold on.
Anytime we say crown royal, you take a shot, Rabbi.
All right, hold on. All right. I think though it's really Crown Royale, but that's a L'chaim.
To show the peoples and the princes her beauty, for she was beautiful to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by the chamberlains. Therefore was the king very angry, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men who knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all who knew law and judgment, and the next to him were Karshena, Shatar, Admata, Tarshish, Merez, Marsena, and Memucan. The seven princes.
That's why we drink, by the way.
The seven princes of Paras and Madai, who saw the king's face and sat first in the kingdom. What shall we do to the queen Vashti according to law, because she has not done the bidding of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains? Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen has not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the peoples who are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen will go abroad to all women, to make their husbands contemptible in their eyes, when they shall say, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she didn't come. This day will say the princesses of Paras and Madai, who have heard of the deed of the queen, the like to all the king's princes, so will there arise much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go forth a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of Paras and Madai, that it not be altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate to another who is better than she. When the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his kingdom, for it is great, all the wives will give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. The matter pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. And he sent letters to all the king's provinces, to every province according to the writing of it, and to every people after its language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and should speak according to the language of his people.
That was great, Tracy. That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
That was like you rehearsed it. That was really great. All right, we're going to continue now in Hebrew on chapter 2, and then someone will take over for English, so you might want to start thinking about who wants to do that. Chapter 2. הדברים האלה כשחמת המלך אחשוורוש זכר את ושתי ואת אשר עשתה את אשר נגזר עליה ויאמרו נערי המלך משרתיו ויבקשו למלך לנערות בתולות טובות מערב ויפקד המלך פקידים בכל מדינות מלכותו ויפקצו את כל נערה בתולה טובה מראה את שושן הבירה אל בית הנשאים על ידיה צריס המלך שמור הנשאים לנתון תמרוקי היהן והנערה שתהיתה בעיני המלך תמלוך תחת ושתי וייטב הדבר בעיני המלך ועשה כן איש יהודי היה בשושן הבירה ושמו מרדכי בן יאיר בן שמעים בן קיש איש ימיני אשר הגלה מירושלים עם הגולה אשר הגלתה עם יחנה מלך יהודה אשר הגלה נבוכדנצר מלך בבל ויהי אומן את הדסה היא אסתר בת דודו כי אין לה אביים והנערה יפת תואר וטובת מראה ובמת אביה וימה לקחה מרדכי לא לבד ויהי שמע דבר המלך בדתו ובקביה נערות רבות אל שושן הבירה אל יד הגיא ותילקח אסתר אל בית המלך אל יד הגיא שמי הנשים ותיטב הנערה בעיניו ותישא חסד לפניו ויבהל את תמרוקיה ואת מנותיה לתת לו ואת שבע הנערות הרעות לתת לה מבית המלך וישנה ואת נערותיה לטוב בית הנשים לא הגידה אסתר את עמה ואת מולדתה כי מרדכי ציווה עליה אשר לא תגיד ובכל יום ויום מרדכי מתהלך לפני חצר בית הנשים לדעת את שלום אסתר ומה יעשה בה ובהגיית אור נורא ונערה לבוא אל המלך אחשוורוש מקץ היות לה כדת הנשים 12 חודש כי כן ימלאו ימי מורותיהם 6 חדשים בשמן המור ו6 חדשים בבשמים ובתמרורי הנשים ובזה הנערה באה אל המלך כל אשר תאמר יינתן לה לבוא עמה בבית הנשים עד בית המלך בערב היא Ba'av U'avoker Hishava El Beit Hanashim Shnei El Yad Shasgaz Saris HaMelech Shomer Afili Gashim Lo Tavo Od El HaMelech Ki'im Chafes Ba Hamelech v'nikra b'Hashem v'Hagiya Tor Esther Beit Aviachel Dod Mordechai Asher Lakach Lo Lavat Lavo El HaMelech Lo Viksha Devar Ki Im Et Asher Yomer Hege Saris HaMelech Shomer HaNashim Vatehi Esther Neset Chen Beinei Kol Roeha Vatilakach Esther Et HaMelech Achashverosh El Beit Meluchot B'chodesh HaAsiri Hu Chodesh Tevet Bishanat Shevat lemalchuto Yehovah HaMelech Esther Mikol HaNeshayim V'tisachein B'chesed Levanav Mikol HaBetulot Vayasem Ketar Melechut B'rosha Vayam Lichem Tachal Vashti Vayas HaMelech Mishte Gadol L'chol sarav v'yavadav et mishtei Esther v'hanacha lemidinot asa v'yitein mahaseit kayad hamelech u'v'kivetz betulot sheni u'mordechai yoshe bashar hamelech en Esther Migedet moladata v'yet ama kasher tiba aleha Mordechai v'yet ma'amar Mordechai Esther asa kasher Aita be'emuna ito bayamim hahem u'Mordechai yoshe bashar hamelech ketzaf Bigdatan v'tehera shenei serisei HaMelech mihishrei Asaf bayivakashu lishloach yad b'melech Achashverosh Vayivada davar l'Mordechai v'yaged li'Esther hamalacha v'tomer Esther l'melech b'shem Mordechai Vayivakesh hadavar vayimatzei vayidlu shneihem al eitz vayichatei b'sefer Divrei hayamim lifnei hamelech. That's chapter 2. I did the whole thing in Hebrew because there's no mention of Haman. And they didn't even mention Crown Royal in that one either. So. All right, here we go. Chapter 3. I'll be stopping soon, so get ready. Somebody's going to read some English. Achar adorima elagidol hamelech Achashverosh et Haman. And Amidinta Bahagagi Vianasieu Viasem Kiso Meal Kol Hasarim Asherito the Cholabde Hamelech Asher B'Sha'ar Hamelech Koraim Mishachavim Lehaman V'chein tziva lo hamelech u'Mordechai kol lo yicharavecho yishtachaveh vayomeru avdei hamelech asher b'sha'ar hamelech leMordechai madua ata oved et mitzvat hamelech vayihi Kamram elav yom vayom below shama aleihem vayigidu lehaman lirot hayamadu divrei Mordechai ki higi lahem asher hu Yehudi. All right, we're going to take over in English now. And when
I'll
somebody
have
says,
Daniel here, who's going to read verses 5 through 15, right through the end of the chapter.
and when someone says Haman, make noise, but be nice.
When Haman saw that Mordecai didn't bow down, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. But he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had made known to him the people of Mordecai, and Haman sought to destroy all the Yehudim, who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, which is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, there was cast pur, that is, the lot, before Haman, from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, which is the month Adar. Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom, and their laws are diverse from those of every people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to leave them be. If it please the king, let it be written that they be destroyed, and 10,000 talents of silver I will pay into the hands of those who have the charge of the king's business to bring it into the king's treasuries." The king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Yehudim's enemy. The king said to Haman, "The silver is given to you, the people also, to do with them as it seems good to you." Then were the king's scribes called in the first month on the 13th day of it, and there was written according to all that Haman commanded to the king's satraps, and to the governors who were over every province, and to the princes of every people, to every province according to the writing of it, and to every people after its language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and it was sealed with the king's ring. Letters were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Yehudim, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take their spoil for plunder. A copy of the writing that the decree should be given out in every province was published to all the peoples, that they should be ready against that day. The couriers went forth in haste by the king's commandment, and the decree was given out in Shushan the palace. The king and Haman sat down to drink.
All right, that was great. All right, we're going to go to chapter 4. Are you ready? We're all set? Let's have some more Crown Royal. All right, here we go. Umordechai yoda et kol asher nasa vayikra Mordechai et bigadav vayilvash shak ve'efer ve'yetzei betoch ha'ir vayizak vayaka gedola umara vayavo ad lifnei shara melech ki ein lavo el sha'ar hamelech b'levusak ובכל מדינה ומדינה מקום אשר דבר המלך ודעתו מגיעה אבל גדול היהודים בצאן ובכי ומספד דק ויפר יוצא לרבים, ותבואנה נורות אסתר, וסריסיה ויגידו לו, ותלתח על המלאכה מאוד, ותשלח בגדים להביא איש את מרדכי, לא הסיר שקו מעליו ולא קיבל. ותקרא אסתר להתך מסריסי המלך אשר העמיד לפניה, ותצווה אל מרדכי לדעת מה זה בימה זה, ויצא התך אל מרדכי אל רחוב העיר אשר לפני שער המלך, ויגדלו מרדכי את כל אשר קראו ואת פרשת הכסף אשר אמר המן. וכל גנזי המלך ביהודים ויעבדם וית פת שגן כתב הדת אשר נתן בשושן להשמידם, נתן לו להרות את אסתר ולהגיד לה ולצות עליה לבוא אל המלך להתחנן לו ולבקש מלפניו העלמה. ויבוא התך ויגד לאסתר את דברי מרדכי, ותאמר אסתר להתך ותצווהו אל מרדכי כל עבדי המלך מדינות המלך בדאים, אשר כל איש ואישה אשר יבוא אל המלך אל החצר הפנימית אשר לא יקרא חטאתו להעמיד לבד, מאשר יושיט לו המלך את שער בית הזהב החיה ואני לו. לקראתי לבוא אל המלך זה 30 יום, ויגידו למרדכי את דברי אסתר, ויאמר מרדכי להשיב אל אסתר, אל תדמי ונפשך להמיר על את בית המלך מכל היהודים, כי אם חרשי בעת הזאת רווח ויצא לה ימות ליהודים ממקום אחר, וית ובית אביך תאבדו, ומי יודע אם לעת כי זאת הגעת למלכות. ותאמר אסתר להשיב אל מרדכי לך, כנוס את כל יהודים הנמצאים בשושן, וצומו עלי, ואל תאכלו ואל תשתו 3 ימים לילה ויום, גם אני לנערותי עצום כן. ובכן אבוא אל המלך אשר לא כדרכך אשר עבדתי, ויעבור מרדכי ויעש ככל אשר ציוויתי עליו Esther. And that is that one. And now we move on to number 5. ויהי ביום השלישי, ויתבלש אסתר מלכות ותמהו בחצר בית המלך הפנימית נכוח בית המלך והמלך יושב על כיסא מלכותו בבית המלכות נוכח פתח הבית ויהי כראות המלך את אסתר המלוכה עומדת בחצר נעשה חן בעיניו ויושת המלך לאסתר את שרביט הזהב אשר בידו ותקרב אסתר ותיגע בראש השרביט ויאמר לה המלך מלך אסתר המלכה ומה בקשתך את חצי המלכות ויינתן לך ותאמר אסתר האם על המלך טוב ויבוא המלך והמן היום אל המשתה אשר עשיתי לו. Pick it up in the English.
Now we have Josiah is going to read verses 5 through 7, and then Alex is going to read like 8 through 12, and then Jocelyn is going to read. Get all the names right too? Right?
Yeah, you got them right.
Excellent. And Jocelyn is going to read like 13 through a few verses.
Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste that it may be done as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. The king said to Esther at the banquet of wine, what is your petition, and it shall be granted you, and what is your request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is.
Then Alex is going to pick up and read verses 8 to 11.
If I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and glad of heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate that he didn't stand up nor move for him, he was filled with wrath against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself and went home, and he sent and fetched his friends, and Zeresh, his wife, recounted to them the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things in which the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, even Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king to the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow also am I invited by her together with the king.
Hold on. Good, excellent, thank you. Now Jocelyn is going to read the last two verses of
Okay. Yet all this unveils mean nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Yehudite sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends to him, Let a gallows be made 50 cubits high, and in the morning speak you to the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go you in merrily with the king to the banquet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, where are we?
Back to you, Rabbi, right?
All right. Yes. But Jacqueline didn't get to say Haman. So Jacqueline, I think you should say Haman. You ready?
Haman.
Ah, girl. Nice job. All right, here we go. Chapter 6. Ba'layla hahu nidada shana hatamelach vayom lahavi et sefer hazichronot divrei hayamim vayehu nikraim lifnei hamelech vayimatzei ketuv asher higid Mordechai al bignana v'teresh shnei sarisei hamelech mishmarei hasaf asher bekoshu lishalach yad bahamelech achashverosh Vayomer Hamelech Manaseh v'kar v'gula leMordechai al zeh Vayomeru narei Hamelech mishartav lo la'aseh imo devar Vayomer Hamelech mi bechetzer v'Haman Chatzar Beit HaMelech Hachitzona Lemol HaMelech Litolot et Mordechai al ha'et asher hechin lo. And now we're going to pick it up in English.
Pages look a little different for some reason, though. All right, so it's verses 5 through. Where does it end?
Where does it end?
The period?
It ends here.
It all ends right here.
It ends on verse 14.
We have a rising senior from University of New Hampshire with us today. She's going to read in English verses 5 through 14.
The king's servants said to the king, "Behold, Haman stands in the court." The king said, "Let him come in." So Haman came in. The king said to him, "What shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor?" Now Haman said in his heart, "To whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?" Haman said to the king, "For the man whom the king delights to honor, let royal clothing be brought, which the king uses to wear, and the horse that the king rides on, and on the head of which a crown royal is set."
Did I just hear that again?
Crown royal.
Wait a minute. I just heard that crown royal thing again. Hold on a minute. L'chaim tovim u'shalom, l'chaim tovim u'shalom, l'chaim tovim u'shalom. There he is. Mr. Pransky's back. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you there, but I heard my magic word there, crown royal. All right, here we go.
And let the clothing and the horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man therewith whom the king delights to honor, and cause him to ride on horseback through the street of the city. and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the clothing and the horse, as you have said, and do even so to Mordecai and Yehudi, who sits at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that you have spoken. Then took Haman the clothing and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and caused him to ride through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Then Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house, mourning and having his head covered. Haman recounted to Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, to him, if he be the seed of the Yehudim. No. Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, you shall not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him. While they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hurried to bring Haman to the banquet that Esther had prepared.
I think that's it. Very nice. They're teaching you well in college. I think this number 7 we're going to do in English.
Yeah, so who's next to volunteer to read some English here? That's fine, I'll do it.
You know what's happening?
I'm gonna do all of it.
There's
What?
so much Crown Royal going on that the Hebrew's getting really hard to see.
I'm going to read a little bit of the English.
Okay.
Just the font is a little off. Here we go. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. The king said again to Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is your petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted you. And what is your request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then Esther the queen answered, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondservants and bondsmaids, I would have held my peace. But the adversary is not have concern for the king's damage. Then spoke the king of Ahasuerus and said to Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that dared presume in his heart to do so? Esther said, an adversary and an enemy, even this wicked Haman. Then Haman was terrified before the king and the queen. The king arose in his wrath from the banquet of wine and went into the palace garden. And Haman stood to make request for his life from Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden, into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen on the couch whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he even force the queen before me in this house? Hold on, guys. As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Then said Harvona, one of the chamberlains who were before the king, behold, also the gallows which Haman has made for Mordecai, who spoke good for the king, stands in the house of Haman, 50 cubits high. The king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. There's more. There's more to this story.
There is?
Yes, chapter 8. This is when it really gets interesting.
Vayom hahu natan hamelech Achashverosh laEsther hamalcha et Beit Haman soreh. HaYehudim uMordechai ba lifnei hamelech ki higida Esther mahula. Vayasar hamelech et shivato asher ha'evir mehaman. Vayitna leMordechai v'taseh Esther et Mordechai al Beit Haman. So safe Esther. ותדבר לפני למלך ותיפול לפני רגליו ותבח ותתחנן לו להעביר את רעת המן. הגיגי ביד מחשבותי אשר חשב היהודים ויושת המלך לאסתר את שרביט הזהב ותקם אסתר ותעמוד לפני המלך. English.
Have some more wine. I think he needs another glass.
Vanna White has nothing on me. Marvin, you're going to read lines 5 through passages 5 through 9.
She said, if it please the king, and I have found favor in his sight, and the things seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written in reverse to reverse the letters devised by Haman, son of Hamidah, the Agag, whom he wrote to destroy the Yehudim, who are in all the king's provinces. How can I endure to see the evil that shall come to my people? How can I endure to see the destruction of my kinsfolk? Then King Ahasuerus said to Esther the queen and Mordecai, see, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged on the gallows, because he has laid his hand on the Yudim. Write you to the Yudim as it pleases you in the king's name, and seal it in the king with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name, and seal with the king's ring, may no man reverse. Is that one more or no? Then were the king's scribes called at that time, in the 3rd month, which is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day of it. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded to the Yehudim, and to the satraps and the governors and princes of the provinces, which are from Hodu to Cush, 127 provinces. To every province according to the writing of it, and to every people after its language. And to the Yehudim according to their writing and according to their language. Go further.
This is Barry Felkoff going to read.
He wrote the name of King Ahasuerus and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by couriers on horseback, riding on swift steeds that were used in the king's service, bred of the stud, in which the king granted the Yehudim and were in every city to gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all the host of the people and province that would assault them, their little ones and women, to take their spoil for plunder. On one day, in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, a copy of the writing that the decree should be given out in every province was published to all the people, and that the Yehudim should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the couriers who rode on swift steeds that were used in the king's service went out, being hurried and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given out in Shushan the palace. Mordecai went forth from the presence of the king in royal clothing of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a robe of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan shouted and was glad. The Yehudim had light and gladness, and joy and honor. In every province and in every city, whenever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Yehudim had gladness and joy. A banquet and a festive day, many from among the peoples of the land became Yehudim.
Chapter 9. Now, this chapter does not mention Hamas, but you should make noise when I say that. So, Hamas. Because they're really the modern Haman. ובשנים עשר חודש הוא חודש אדר, ב13 יום בו אשר הגה דבר המלך ודתו לעשות ביום אשר סיברו אויבי היהודים לשלוט בהם בנהפוך הוא אשר ישלטו היהודים המה בשונאיהם. נקהלו היהודים בעריהם בכל מדינות המלך אחשוורוש לשלוח יד במבקשי רעתם, ואיש לא עמד לפניהם כי נפל פחדם על כל הימים בכל שרי המדינות והחטפנים והפחות. ויעשה המלאכה של המלך מנסים את היהודים כי נפל בחד מרדכי עליהם כי גדול מרדכי בבית המלך ושמוע הולך בכל המדינות כי האיש מרדכי הולך וגדול. והלכו היהודים בכל אויביהם מחת חרב והרג ועבדם ועשו בשונאיהם כרצונם. ובשושן הבירה הרגו היהודים ואבד 500 איש, ואת פרושנתה ויד לדפו ויד אסתתה ויד פורתה עדלתה ויד ארידתה ויד פרמסתה ויד אריסי ויד ארידי ויד יפייתה. Oy, I need a shot. Aseret b'nei Aman ben Hamadata Tzorahei HaYehudim Haragu Babi Zelo Shulchu Et Yadam Bayomahu Baha Mispar Haybrogim Baha Shoshana Bira Lifnei HaMelech. We got to stop here and let somebody read some English, chapter, verse 11.
Russ, you want to read?
Yeah, sure. Yay! You can't really say it.
I can't really see it. On that day, the number of those who were slain in Shushan, the palace, were brought before the king. The king said to Esther the queen, in Shushan, the palace, the Yehudim have slain and destroyed 500 men. And the 10 sons of Haman what then have they done in the rest of the king's province? Now that what is the petition? And it shall be granted you, and what is your further request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, it is, if it please the king, let tomorrow be granted to be Yehudim who are in Shushan, to also, according to the day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged on the gallows. The king commanded it to be done, and the decree was given out in Shushan. And then they hanged Haman's 10 sons. The Yehudim who were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month of Adar. "300 men, but they didn't lay their hand on the spoil. The other Yehudim were in the king's provinces, gathered themselves together and stood in for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and killed of those who hated them 75,000. But they didn't lay a hand on their spoil.
B'yom Shlosha, in Hebrew, bigger print. B'yom Shlosha Asar Chodesh Adar, Lenoach be'arba'a asar bo ve'aso oto b'yom mishteh v'simcha. V'hayehudim asher b'Shushan nakhalu b'shlosha asar bo ve'arba'a asar bo ve'noach v'chamisha asar bo ve'asa oto yom mishteh v'simcha. Al ken ha-Yehudim v'ha-Prazim ha-Yeshovim v'arei ha-Prazot osim et yom arba'a asar lechodesh adar v'simcha u'mishta v'yom tov u'mishloach manot ish lirahu. Vayichtav Mordechai et ha-dvarim ha'ela vayishlach sefarim el kol ha-Yehudim asher b'chol medinot hamelech ha'achashverosh ha'krovim v'ha'rochokim. I can't read much more. L'kayam Elohehem lehayot osim et yom arba'a asar l'chodesh adar ve'et yom chamisha asar b'yom v'chol shana v'shana.
Gary Spar.
as the days in which the Yudim had rest from their enemies, and the month which was turned to them from sorrow into gladness, and from mourning into a festive day, that they should make them days of feasting and gladness, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. The Yehudim undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordechai had written to them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Yehudim, had plotted against the Yehudim to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is the lot, to terrify them and to destroy them. But when she came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked scheme, which had been devised against the Yehudim, should return on his own head, and they hanged him and his sons on the gallows. Therefore they call these days Purim, after the name Pur. Therefore, because of all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and that which had come to them, the Yehudim ordained and took on themselves and on their seed and on all such as joined themselves to them, so that it should not pass away, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every single year, and that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every day, and that these days of Purim are on the page. Should not pass away from among the Yehudim, nor the memory of them perish from their seed. Then wrote Esther the queen, the daughter of
Abigail.
Thank you, and Mordechai the Yehudit, with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. He sent letters to all the Yehudim to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus with the words of peace and truth to confirm these days of Purim and their appointed times, according as had enjoined them Mordechai the Yehudit and Esther the queen, and as they had ordained for themselves and for their seed in the matter of the fastings and their cry. The commandment of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
Chapter 10. One more chapter, and then we're done. And then we can go back and finish the service. And before we do this, I want to just thank everybody for putting up with me being on Zoom. As you know, Kit had surgery a couple of weeks ago on her knee, had it replaced, and it would have been very difficult for me to leave her alone. You do know that family always comes first, right? And so I'm glad we were able to be together tonight this way. I hope it was okay. It was wonderful for me. I've enjoyed myself because I was able to drink and not have to worry about driving home. And so that's also the mitzvah of Purim. So let's finish chapter 10, then we're going to finish the service. We're going to go back to Aleinu, I think, right after this is over. So let me get back to this and chapter 10. Vayasem Amalek Hashverosh mas al haaretz vayehi hayom b'chol maseh tikpo ugvoroto ufaroshat gedulat Mordechai asher gedolo hamelech Eloheim ketuvim al sefer divrei hayamim malchei madei ufaras Ki Mordechai Yehudi Mishneh LaMelech Achashverosh V'Gadol Hayudim V'Ratzi LaRov Echav Doreish Tov Lamov Dover Shalom Lechol Zaro Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam harav et ridveinu v'hadan et dideinu v'hanokem et nikmateinu v'hamshalem gemul l'chol oivei nafsheinu v'hanifra lanu mitzareinu Baruch atah Adonai hanifra le'amo Yisrael mikol tzarehem ha'el ha'mehoshia. Amen. And now we're going to put that camera back to number 1. And he's going to finish the service, folks. Yashkach and Chag Sameach.
Thank you, Rabbi. Continue with Aleinu, page 150. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach li'adon hakol, la'tzeis kedula li'yoseh bereshit, shelo asanu kegayeh haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot adama, shelo sam kelkeinu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצא אורץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, שכינת זו ושכינת זו, וגבי מרומי, הוא אלוהינו עינות, אמס מלכנו אפסו לעשות, ככסו וסורסו, ידעת היום והשבוסת אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. May be seated except those in mourning, observing your side at this time. Recite the Mourner's Kaddish on page 151. Yizgadal, Yizgadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'almad Divra Kirusei, V'amlik Malkusei, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayeh D'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agalav, V'zman, Karif, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabam V'varach, Le'olam Omei Omaya, Yisbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yispar, V'yisomam, V'yisnasei, V'yisadar, V'yisaleh, V'yisalal, Shmei D'kutsha, B'richu, Le'ela min kol birchasa v'shirasa, tushbechasa v'nehemasa, damiran bi'oma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'imamav, hu yasei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We continue with a psalm for Friday, which we recite in English responsively on page 90. Page 90. Adonai is sovereign, crowned with splendor. Adonai reigns, robed in strength. You set the earth on a pure foundation. You created a world that stands firm. Your kingdom stands from earliest time. You are eternal. The rivers may rise and break, waters may pound and pulsate, the floods may swirl and storm. Yet above the crash of the sea and its mighty breakers is Adonai, our God, supreme.
And decrees Adonai never fail. Holiness befits your house for eternity.
Eidosecha nemnu meod leveska nava kodesh, Adonai leorech yamim. We conclude the service with the prayer for the state of Israel, followed by all of us reciting the Mourner's Kaddish together. The prayer for the state of Israel is on page 75. We recite it in English together in the middle of the page. Avinu Shabashamayim, Rock and Redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption, shielded with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. Let us say, Amen. We all turn to page 84. Recite the Mourner's Kaddish together. Gadal, V'yiskadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'almad, Yivrak, Yerusei, V'amlik Malchusei, Chayechon, V'yomechon, Chayed, Chol Beit Yisrael, V'agalav, V'zman, Kariv, V'yamru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'olam Olmei Omaya, Yisbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yispa'ar, V'yisomam, V'yisnasei, V'yishadar, V'yishalev, V'yishalal, Shmei Dekudsha, Brichu, Le'ela min kol birkasa v'shivasa, tush bechasa v'nechemasa, damiran bi'olma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlom rabba mishemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'imomav, hu yasei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. To conclude our service, please join us in the back for ice cream and hamantashen and socializing and some laughs and gossip and so forth.
And while you guys have ice cream,
don't forget to give tzedakah. Thank you, Rabbi.
And while you guys have ice cream, I'll have another l'chaim tovim o shalom, l'chaim tovim o shalom, l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim tovim o shalom. Oi! Yeah, Mr. Pransky's back. Have a good one, everybody.
Already did.